10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday! Today we are at episode 33 of Stadium Connect North, and we have a very special episode today as we're interviewing the developer of Elemental Wars 2, the developer from Clockwork Origins. And today with me, I've got my trusty co-host, Mr. John Scar. How are you doing, Mr. John?
Good. I'm doing good. I've been really looking forward to speaking with Daniel here. So excited about today's interview.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. There's a lot I want to know about the game, so it's gonna be fun to hear a lot of stuff about it. And then we have MM2K, who has been a part of us a lot of interviews lately, and a very good co-host. Also, how are you doing, my friend?
You guys haven't learned yet. I'll try not to screw up this time. No.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to be here as always. And this is going to be another great interview. I can just feel it. So I can't wait to get into it.
Definitely. And I love your extra questions always that you have with people's insight towards Stadia. So it's always nice to see you here. Before we get Daniel into the show, I just want to say hi to everyone in the chat. We got Mugen, we got David P., Inley, Cloud Validation, Sanchez, MTZ, Zero Games for Me, Granite T Rock, and David Wilson. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. And just to let you know, guys, we have a poll right now on John Scar's live video, and we're asking what element attracts you the most in Elemental War 2, and we'll get the results at the end of the show. Now, without further ado, let us introduce you guys to the one and only Daniel from Clockwork Origins. How are you doing, Daniel?
Hi, I'm doing fine.
Good.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say, we really appreciate you taking the time to come here on the show and talk about your release of Elemental Wars. They'll be coming super soon, actually. It's almost I think it's like next week or something like that.
Isn't it? Next Friday. Yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh, it goes by fast. I can remember the day that it was announced. I feel like it was yesterday. So Daniel. Now, we're going to go and ask you a few questions. First of all, can you introduce yourself and, let us know what you do with Clockwork Origins and what's the history with Clockwork Origins in general?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Daniel from Clockwork Origins, a small indie team from Germany. And our indie studio was founded in 2018. So last week. It was our 4-year anniversary, actually.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks. But our history is actually way longer. So my co-founder and I, so Sebastian is his name, we worked together since 2007.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah, we worked on, or we were modders before we became game developers. And we modded Gothic 2. Don't know if you know it,
Gothic is
classics.
It's a pretty old game now. Yeah, it's been a
Oh, man.
long time. Good series.
And still a lot of players, but it was more popular in Germany and Eastern Europe and not in the US.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I started 2004 with modding for it. So that was the time when I decided that this whole game development thing would be interesting for me. And yeah, I kept doing it, and now I'm here.
Very nice. So, out of curiosity, where does the name comes from? Clockwork Origins, you know.
Oh, that's actually interesting. We had when we decided that we want to go into the game direction. So that was already in 2007 when we were young and ambitious and thought we could do everything.
And now we're old and, you know, like no ambition,
Yeah.
right?
And it took more than 10 years to finally really become a company. Yeah, we had a big poll in our team back then, in the mod team, or in the part of the mod team that wanted to do a real RPG back then. And yeah, Clockwork Origins, or Clockwork, was actually inspired by the movie Clockwork Orange.
So it was? Okay, yeah, okay.
We talked about that before, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to admit that I never watched it, so it was not my idea.
Oh my god.
I bet you were in for a surprise.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Did Sebastian watch it at least? Did Sebastian watch it at least?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good. That's
Pretty
good.
sure, actually.
Yeah. At least we can. There's one of you, you know, like that did that. So, out of curiosity, how many people is in your dev team at the moment?
Yeah, that's hard to answer because so we have our two co-founders, so that's Sebastian and me, but he's more involved in the marketing, not really in the development. Then we have two helpers that aren't really part of the company in terms of we pay them.
Oh,
So
okay.
they are helpers at the moment.
Yeah.
And then we work together with a few freelancers for audio, music, and the whole art design is freelanced. On Elemental War 2, almost all work was done by me. So from the programming side and the game design side, Carsten, who's one of the two people helping out, did most of the towers, and then we have the freelancers that did the rest of the graphics and audio stuff.
Interesting. So it's cool to hear that you're kind of like a one dev game developer, right? Because on Stadia, there's a few games made by one developer, like the one that I can think on top of my head is the Falconeer, and the developer is from the Netherlands, and it's incredible what you guys can do with like one person, and you know, a couple of resources on the side, but it always impressed me with what the tools, you know, can do now compared to back in the Gothic days, right? Like I don't think Gothic would have been able to be done with one developer, for example. Yeah. That would have been pretty tough. But now, what interested us, and it's actually a word that I've learned today. John explained it to me, and it took like 5 minutes for me to understand. But what is Clockwork's credo and values? Yeah.
So our goal is to create games for PC consoles, and the entry on the homepage is a little old, so also for streaming platforms.
Yeah.
That we want to play, and we hope you will want to play. So we won't release any game that we aren't happy with. So if we don't feel confident, then we won't release it. Our quality standards, of course, get higher with each game. So I wouldn't release Elemental War 1 again now with my knowledge I have now. But back then I was very happy, and Elemental War 2 is really a big step forward.
Definitely. Is just as a side question, is Elemental Wars self-published? I just can't recall right now, or is it published? Oh, it is. Yep. Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's incredible. Yeah. So I like that because that way you can actually you don't have any deadlines. You make your own deadlines and stuff like that, and it always makes it so these goals are achievable. So that's very nice.
Yeah, but in the end, I'm the publisher of myself, and I set this deadline for Elemental War 2 release last July, and it was really it was still hard to reach it now because there are always things in the end. Especially, it's our biggest release as of now. So we are releasing not only on Stadia and PC, but also on Xbox and PlayStation, and last gen and current gen. And we never released on that many platforms at once.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be exciting time. I say exciting, but quote unquote, maybe stressful, but it is exciting, to see that that's going to be around all of these platforms and going to be played by so many players. Now, for the people who doesn't know, can you tell us a little bit about the previous titles that you've released?
Yes. Well, there's obviously Elemental War 1. And yeah, fun fact about it, it was actually released as a Gothic mod.
Not a Roblox, right? Like I thought.
Oh wow, okay.
Nice.
So I think in 2010 or 2011, somewhere around then, I released it as Gothic mod, of course with a lot of limitations because Gothic is an RPG and the engine wasn't made for an RTS or a tower defense game. Yeah, and then I studied computer science at the university, became a real programmer, and yeah, developed first my own game engine.
Wow.
Which turned out is not a good idea if you ever want to finish something because the engine alone is more work than one can handle, and you never really come along to work on the actual game. And yeah, then I switched to Unity, and yeah, in 2018, we released Elemental War into early access first, and 9 months later, the full version. And then the years afterwards, ported it to consoles, Xbox One and PlayStation 4. And also in 2020, we released our second game, that was Tri-Six Infinite. That's an endless racer in a cyberspace setting inspired by Tron. That actually also, or the idea is built on a university project I worked on. And I always liked this cyberspace racing game. And yeah, then I decided that we do this as our next project after Elemental War.
That sounds interesting. I need to look that up because I actually haven't heard of it yet. So I'll definitely give it a look after the interview. But that's all the questions I had on my end. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave the stage to John because he has some more questions for you.
Alrighty. All right. So again, thank you, Daniel, so much. We really do appreciate you taking the time talking with us here. So now we are I'm going to put the trailer up here. We're going to talk about Elemental War 2. So it is releasing next Friday, May the 6th, on Stadia and other platforms that you'd mentioned earlier. So I was curious as to if maybe you could tell us first of all, a little bit about the game as far as story, gameplay, any features it has, but also maybe how did you come to the decision, or is there a story behind Elemental Wars 2 coming to Stadia?
Yes, so I will start with the game and come to the rest later.
Okay.
So actually, a story isn't really in the game. We have some background lore, and you will have a lot of quests you can play in the game that will tell you a little bit about the universe, but there's no campaign or something like that in the game.
Okay.
From the gameplay side, maybe you played Warcraft 3 back in the day, and there was this tower defense mod Element TD, and that was a big inspiration for me for Elemental War. So I played that so many hours, I don't know. So like there you have 7 elements in Elemental War. Fire, nature, earth, electricity, water, air, and shadow. and you get these elements by defeating elementals. These are big boss creatures, like in the trailer, this stone golem. They are very powerful, have special abilities. So it's really some boss fight. And with these elements, you then can build element towers and also combine up to 3 elements to new combinations of towers. So we have a total of 65 towers you can build.
Wow.
That's a lot, and actually already for Elemental War 1 was a problem because you have to learn these combinations.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Wow.
Yeah, and on the map, so there are hidden secrets you can find.
Wow.
Some of them are for quests, and each quest you solve unlocks an item for you that basically works like in roguelites, like Binding of Isaac. So with certain events, you unlock a new item. This will be added to your item pool, so you can unlock it in future runs again, or you get it in future runs, and you get it for the session you're playing. And these items can be everything from some ability to freeze all monsters on the map, which has a cooldown, so you can, let's say, every 2 minutes or so freeze all monsters, so you can slow them down. This can be tower equipment, so your tower deals a different type of damage or changes target behavior, or some stat boni, or also melee for the monsters, so they get slower, or your towers have more range or stuff like that.
So you're saying that it's going to take more than 2 hours to learn their game, right? It's going to take a lot of time.
Nice. Which is good, right?
Yes.
That's
good.
Yeah,
I love games like that.
Yeah, the start is a little hard, but when you're in, you can almost play forever because the waves are also randomized, so not the same monster won't spawn on the same wave for each run, so it's random. And each monster has an ability like regeneration or more health, or some are positive for you, like they drop more gold for you. Then there's a teleport ability where they can randomly spawn on the map. So there's a lot of variation. And of course, the items are different in each playthrough. And of course, different maps.
Cool. That's awesome. So are the maps, are there a certain amount of maps, like number of maps, or are those randomly generated as well?
In Elemental War 1, we had random maps, but that came with some limitations, like we couldn't really put in unique locations. We had a grid-based system there, so it was great because we could, for example, also support mods or user-generated maps. But for Elemental War 2, we decided to go another route and build handcrafted, more unique maps. So we lose this modability in this case, but we could build maps that are specifically designed for quests, or add secret locations, certain gameplay features that are only possible that way.
Wow.
And we also redesigned the whole tower building, so you can more or less freely build the towers now instead of on a grid. So you have to make sure yourself that you don't block your own slots.
That's awesome. So is there a story about like how did it come to like Elemental War 2 being released on Stadia? Was this something like, were you approached by Google, or did you happen to see Stadia and thought, you'd like to publish a game on there?
Back when they announced Stadia, we already applied with Elemental War 1, I think.
Oh, okay.
And we never heard back from them. There wasn't even some notification that the submission was received or something. So not sure if it was a technical issue or something else. But we tried again with Elemental War 2, because even though there are always these bad rumors of Stadia being dead and something like that, I still think it's a good idea, because it opens games for people that don't have a powerful PC or a console or so, especially nowadays where the consoles are pretty rare and
it's hard to find.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So I know Elemental War 2, you can use a mouse and keyboard to play, or a controller. Did you was there any specific, when designing the game, was there any specific hurdles or things that you had to think of to ensure that no matter what device you use to control it, that it's the same experience?
Yes, that was actually a big part of the development of Elemental War 2, because the first part was developed only with a keyboard or keyboard and mouse in mind. And it was hard to get the controller support in the game afterwards. So when we ported to Xbox and PlayStation, it works, but it isn't great. We took, I think, 2 months or something like that to redesign the whole UI, the whole user interface, to work both with keyboard and mouse and with controller. So we put really a lot of effort into it, because it's a big market, this whole console thing, and Stadia, of course. I mean, you can play on Stadia also with mouse and keyboard, but limited. So I wouldn't want to sit on my TV and play with mouse and keyboard.
Okay. So a question that I just thought of here is, so does the Elemental War 2, does it support touch support? Like if you're playing it on a tablet or a phone, is there touch support, and if not, is that something that you might think about in the future adding?
At release, there's no touch support. I have actually no concrete plans to add it, but I also won't exclude it. So if there's demand for it, I can think about it. Problem I see there is that controls are maybe too much combination.
Right.
It's something that you didn't had in mind when you started the project, right? So it's kind of hard to implement it afterwards.
To reverse engineer it,
exactly.
The same problem we had with Elemental War with the controller support. So
right.
Always harder than thinking of it right from the beginning.
Right. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. Maybe for Elemental War 3, who knows, right? Okay, so the next question that I have for you, because there are many in the Stadia community that are wondering, what resolution and frame rates does Elemental War 2 run at on Stadia?
We have a 4K 30 FPS mode and a 1080p 60 FPS mode.
Woohoo!
Very nice. Very
awesome.
nice.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah. I know there's a lot of people that like the 60 frames a second, and offering it even at 1080p still offers a fantastic picture and fidelity. So that's great to hear. Wow. Awesome. Alrighty, I'm going to pass the mic on over, our virtual mic on over to MM2K.
All right. Hey, Daniel, I got the last set of interrogation questions here, but we want to thank you so much for joining us as always. It's great talking to the devs and getting your perspective on what it takes to put games on Stadia. This is a very enthusiastic group of gamers here, and they just love listening to the stuff that they soak it in and they take it with them, and it means so much to us to have you here. So thank you again. My first question is, crossplay is a very, very big thing here in Stadia because it's a new platform, and we don't have a cajillion players yet. However, we do enjoy playing games here and playing them with other people. So it's a very hot topic in the Stadia community. Elemental War 2 features cross-player multiplayer. Is that across Stadia? Xbox, PlayStation, and PC? How does that work?
Yes, it is.
Ooh.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. All right. Awesome. And in that regards, can you comment on the process? Again, we're kind of like we're turning into technical nerds here. You got every time we get a developer on here, they help us understand your world a little bit better. Can you comment on the process of implementing crossplay in games? Are there any difficulties you encounter or obstacles you have to overcome when trying to patch it through?
Well, it was pretty hard to get it done a few years ago because of all the policies especially consoles had. Stadia had the advantage; they were clever and allowed it right from the beginning.
Oh.
But
Wow.
or at least I know, at least when we started last July or became partner last July, it was no problem. So you have to keep it in mind when developing the game as well. Also, something we learned from Elemental War 1. We already had some multiplayer and co-op mode in there, but we had some peer-to-peer architecture, so you don't connect to a server, but instead another player connect directly to another player. And then we started porting to consoles, and they said, no, that's not possible here because of security reasons. Then we would have needed to completely rewrite our multiplayer code, which wasn't feasible back then. To some client server architecture. And we knew that for Elemental War 2, and we wanted this crossplay feature because the same as for Stadia, we are a small indie team. We don't have a bazillion players, including some players, or not allowing the players to play with their friends on another platform would be bad for us as well, because if they can't, they maybe won't play the game if they play it for the co-op mode.
Gotcha. Excellent.
That's why we also put the feature parity in our values, because that's actually also, I also have a friend who plays solely on Xbox, and I mostly play on PC. And if the game has no crossplay, we can't play together. So it's actually something that's also in my interest.
Yeah. It can be very annoying.
So Daniel, in order to get that crossplay working amongst all the different platforms, is there like certain agreements that you need to abide by for every different platform, or is it kind of just like, like a central meeting point where they all merge and then end up, talking to each other?
No, it's actually me talking with each of them alone, and they don't interact at all. And actually, the only platform that's still a little hard to get crossplay done is PlayStation. All others are really open about that.
Interesting. And that makes sense, because we hear what you hear from Fortnite, and I know you can't talk too much about. But from, they're making Epic pay them for crossplay, so we could just imagine devs like Daniel what type of challenges they're going through. So in that regard, though, and I got an additional follow-up question. Okay, here goes where the trouble starts. So when you negotiate, and tell us to the best of your ability, when you negotiate and you're trying to work out the whole crossplay thing, you had said earlier that there were some like security challenges with the consoles that you necessarily didn't see with Stadia. Do you think it was because those are dedicated devices that you're working with and Stadia's in the cloud, so it's less of a security risk, or what? Or what can you speak further on that?
Actually, I'm not sure if the security issues don't apply for Stadia as well.
Okay.
We would need to check their requirements. So it's not just that you have to negotiate or convince the platform holders that you are allowed to add crossplay to your game, but then they also have a huge list of requirements you have to fulfill, so you get approved or certified to launch. And this also exists on Stadia, but there especially this whole negotiation or convincing part fell apart because they allow it right from the beginning.
Awesome. All
yeah,
right.
and I mean the securities things make sense on PC. Nobody cares about it. I mean,
do what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, right, because on PC there's not like a governing platform, right? It's a very open-ended. There's not one entity that says this is what you need to do.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you probably heard of Steam, even though you play on Stadia, and
yeah.
everybody can load everything there, and nobody cares from Valve. So. Why would they care about security?
Interesting. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
now,
geez.
how have you found your experience working with Google in Stadia? The support tools, the easy use, and etc. How has that been?
From the tool side, I recognize that they are still in development and still in earlier development than the other platforms. But from the people I work with at Google, I'm pretty happy. It really feels familiar. You have your direct contacts there. You can ask everything. You always know whom to contact and you get fast replies. It's not like on other platforms where you have to wait weeks or so to get an easy answer.
Oh, wow.
Most of the time you get it at the same time, as they also seem to assign the people so they are in the same time zone.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a problem for us in Europe because most big companies sit in the US.
Yeah.
And then you always have this 8 hours delay.
And I can imagine, I mean, I don't know, maybe this wasn't, and again, I don't want to turn this into the PlayStation show, but I can imagine with Sony moving their headquarters, I don't know, did that have an effect on like contacting people via time zones or no?
I mean, I'm under NDA, I can't commit.
Yeah, gotcha. Right. Gotcha. Okay. No, I get it. That's awesome to hear. I mean, again, I hope people are paying attention to this. These staff conversations are very important, and you know, we thank you, Daniel, for clarifying on that, because what we hear a lot from the community is, oh man, we're not getting the games as fast as we'd like them to get them. Is Stadia closing down tomorrow? And no, it's still early in development. The tool sets are still being matured. You know what I mean? But it looks promising to you, correct? So
so for us, it's also hard to work with Stadia in the regards of we don't know if it will still exist in a week from now. And I mean, I spend a lot of time to port to Stadia now, and I really hope it pays out. And I would love to bring our maybe some of the older games, maybe not Elemental War 1 due to the quality.
Oh, come on! No, I'm just kidding.
But if it's worth it, we will absolutely be happy to bring future games also to Stadia.
Absolutely. No, that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's great. Yeah.
That's great. So,
go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
No. Do you have another question that you were going to ask Daniel, or?
No, actually, you know what? He just answered it about. I was going to ask him, how have you found your experience working with? Well, are you using the low charge porting or no? I don't know. Have you heard of the low charge porting tool set?
According to his face, probably not. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Sorry about that. Go ahead, John.
You mean this new? I read about it that they want also to allow Windows games or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, it's actually a Linux version, like it was.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool. All right, John. Go ahead.
Yep. So we have one of the questions here from the chat is, if you could comment on how difficult or time consuming it was to port the game to Stadia, and do you think what can be done to help other developers bring their games?
Yeah, it took me maybe 2 weeks full time to port to Stadia.
Oh wow!
Not
bad.
exactly
Wow.
sure about
wow.
the concrete time. The good thing was that I already had a code base that could work with different platforms, and we handled most of the cases we had to handle, like text filtering for usernames, restrictions if you don't are allowed to play multiplayer or something like that. I already had an abstraction layer to handle all that stuff, so I actually had just to integrate the Stadia SDK to support it. And I already mentioned I work with Unity, and there you just select Stadia, click export, and it's done. I mean, of course you have to test it,
Just the button,
and you have
right?
to meet this frame rate goals. So as said, we have 60 FPS at 1080p. Yeah, we have to make sure that we really stay in this range. We have like, I think 5 frames we can come above or below that 60 FPS, but only for 5% of the time or something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of little small things that always come up again, and then here a bug fix, there something happens, then you have different certification phases where you get feedback from Stadia, and they say, okay, here's something that you should have a look at, and yeah. But it wasn't too bad actually.
That's great, because that was actually one of the questions that I was gonna ask you too is about the certification process, but you pretty much answered it there. So you submit builds, they then give you feedback on it, and then you go make the appropriate changes and resubmit as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And I noticed, I think it was on Discord I saw, or maybe you tweeted it out or whatever, that there was a day one patch that you have for the game, because of course it's coming out next Friday. So I know you said that's been submitted to most platforms. Has that been submitted to Stadia as well to make it for launch?
It's submitted, approved, and will be ready on Friday next week.
Wow.
Awesome.
Woo! That's
All
awesome.
right. That is great.
And so let's bring it up again here too. So Elemental War 2 is also available for pre-order in the Stadia store. Now we don't see on Stadia, like a lot of games that are available for pre-order. Was this something that Stadia Google approached you and said, hey, would you like to make your game be available for pre-order, or was this something that you inquired about?
I actually asked for it a few times before I got confirmed that we can get a pre-order. And for us, it's mostly a visibility tool, because on other platforms, you are listed on the store already. You get wish lists, for example, and on Stadia, that doesn't really exist. So the pre-order is actually good for us to get seen.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully they'll put a wish list feature on Stadia sometimes. I know it's been asked for, so maybe eventually we'll see it happening.
Oh, okay. So I see. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, the pre-orders don't really help us at the moment. I mean, we don't care if you pre-order it or if you buy it on day one, because
it's the same difference.
We will see this money in June. So
yeah, it's all about the numbers.
Yeah. I actually don't have any numbers at the moment.
Oh, okay.
I will also get them in June, I guess.
Oh.
So yeah, I hoped I would see the numbers so I can estimate how many people there are interested in Elemental War 2 on Stadia. But I don't know yet. I saw the interaction on Twitter. That was really good.
Good.
That's
good.
Awesome.
Good.
So it will be a surprise next week.
Yeah, we'll reach out and see if you can give us some numbers in June if the NDA allows it.
Yeah. So you can see here this is just brought up the Stadia store here. So a nice big here, and as you can see, already pre-ordered, and so it's available for pre-order. It's $24.99 Canadian and $19.99 $8.99 US. Yeah, so there you go. You can see it. It gives us all the details here. And again, that big the game modes that everyone liked was that cross-platform multiplayer, which we talked about earlier as well. So yeah, so that is, it's great to see.
I've got a question for you, Daniel. So I personally am not really good at tower defense game for some reason. Like, I'm good at strategy games, I'm good at RPGs and stuff like that, but tower games, I don't know why. I'm just not good at it. So, like, is there any like difficulty features in the game where you can put it on easy or, you know, medium or hard?
Yes, there are 3 difficulty modes: easy, medium, and hard.
Oh, hey,
And,
awesome.
Easy
Yeah.
for
Go,
me.
Ninja.
So we also have online leaderboards where you can compare your scores with others, and of course you get more or a higher score when you play on the higher difficulties. So if you want to go on score hunt, you have to play the higher difficulties. But if you want to just play a little, then you can play on easy.
Perfect.
Nice.
I think for me, this will just be like a casual game for me for relaxing. But I know some people that really likes the competition and probably try the leaderboards. Now, the leaderboards, are they cross-platform also, or are they going to be platform specific?
No, they are also cross-platform.
Okay, very nice.
Wow. Okay. Can you comment on, so say if I wanted to play with a friend who's on Xbox, what the process would be? Like, is there an in-game account that we both have to make and then become friends, or how does that work?
So to play on Stadia in co-op mode, you have to create an account with our own account system. That's also cross-platform. On other platforms, this is no requirement. That's due to the third-party software we use for the server launching called PlayFab. And they support platform login for each platform except Stadia. Maybe it's too new.
Okay.
If they add it, then I will add it as well. So this requirement is gone. But you will also need the platform if you want to the account if you want to participate in the leaderboards, because they also run across our server. Yeah, and when you are logged in, then you can launch or host a game on each of the maps you unlocked already. And then you get some lobby code. That's a 4-digit code. And then you share this with your partner, and he enters it and can join.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so we have no friends list or something like that for cross-platform. Maybe something to add in the future. On Stadia, you can invite your friends directly, so other Stadians.
That's really cool, and I like when developers implement the code feature, because for streamers, for example, it's very useful, right? Because you can just ask people in the chat if they'd like to join. You can use this code, and bam, you know, they just join the game. So it's very nice that you've implemented that in there.
So Daniel, recently Stadia has rolled out trials for people to have be able to have like a 30, a 60, 120 minute trial of the game before they buy it. Is this something that you might consider in the future for Elemental Wars 2, like maybe like a 30-minute trial? Or
yeah, actually I talked with my Google contact about it last week, and yeah, it was on too short notice to do it before launch, but yeah, it will definitely be something we can do for the next game, and maybe also still an option after release for Element War 2. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a demo version of the game, right?
Yeah. I'm right. Yeah, like a 30-minute demo, because I think that's really helpful, rather than have someone buy the game and then within the 2 hours refund it because they didn't like it. If they get 30 minutes to try it, no strings attached, no risk, then it really, I think, even opens up the audience even more, because again, for that, all they need is a Gmail account to be able to try it. They don't even have to have a Stadia account as well.
Yeah, no downloads and installs to worry about. Just say, hell, I can just play. Let me try this out on my phone right now. You know what I mean? That'd be great.
Yep. Okay, so I see Fletch here in the chat asks, will there be additional add-on content down the line?
We don't have any plans regarding DLCs. So in general, we are no big fans of DLCs if they, are obsolete or something like that, or stripped out content or whatever. If we think it's worth it, we could think of more maps or something like that. But we supported Elementor 1 for a few years, and if there are still bugs, we still patch them and stuff like that. And maybe we just add them as free content. It depends.
It depends, yeah. Okay, and I think we've got one more question here. So someone in the chat was asking, Mr. 1030 here are you aware of the beta program that Stadia has? And if you were aware of it, was there any requirements that you would know, that you know of that you can share with, or for beta testing? Like they have the channels program where you can beta test games, and I guess the question is like, were you aware of that, and is that something that you used with Elemental War 2?
I was aware of it, but I haven't looked too much into it, so we didn't use it for Elemental War 2.
Okay, great. And another question here: have you been offered by your reps or the people you speak with at Stadia about a promotional direct link that you can tweet out or share on social media that advertises the game and also is like a link to have them join Stadia Pro for a free month?
As far as I know, that only works together with the time trials, right?
No, there's there's click to play link free trials, but there was the baseware that was developed from this click to play links, where they basically provide you with links for you to advertise in tweets or things of that nature, where people would just be able to click on said link and just hop right into your game, hop right into the game, as long as they have it purchased. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if they don't have it purchased, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, John, it would take them to the storefront to purchase the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then I don't have such a link.
Okay, and we've got one more question here, a big one that everyone likes. Will the game have achievements on Stadia?
Of course.
Awesome.
Would you be able to elaborate just briefly or a little bit about the different achievements? Maybe, do you know offhand how many there are and things like that?
There are 42, I think. And there are different types of achievements. So we added a few that I called them progress achievements. So for the stuff you do in the game for the first time, like building your first tower or defeating your first elemental, combining the first two elements to a new tower, and stuff like that. Then there are some score-based achievements. Like we have 5 medals you can reach per map. Mm-hmm. So the bigger the score, the better the medal. And then also for your global score, so all scores from the maps summed together also give you some rank, and therefore we have achievements. Then there are challenges where you have to play a specific way to get the achievement, like building no towers that slow down enemies.
Wow.
And then there are a few hidden ones that I won't tell about.
Alrighty. Well, as we wrap this up here, we had a poll in for the chat and asked them what element attracts you most to Elemental War 2. So the options were tower defense, Dungeons and Dragons style graphics, or online cross-platform play. We had 39 votes, and we're going to end the poll here. And let's see if we can get... So the results were... so what attracted you most to Elemental War 2? Tower defense got 43%. Online cross-platform play, 35%. Dungeons and Dragons style 12%, and the graphics 7%. So it looks like people are really hungry for a tower defense game on Stadia. More of those, which fits perfectly to a T. And again, kudos for including that cross-platform play, because as we talked about, not only to you but also the player base itself, that's very important, and it's great to see taking such a strong interest in that. So we really do appreciate that. So we're going to wrap this up here. Thank you again, Daniel. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you,
Elemental War 2 launches Friday, May the 6th. It's available now in the Stadia store for pre-order, $24.99 Canadian, $19.99 US, and thanks for Clive for letting us know, $19.99 British pounds. So in the UK, our friends there as well. So with that, we'll say goodbye, and thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Goodbye.
Thanks for the invitation and the chance to talk about Elementor 2.
Awesome. Thank you again.
And maybe we see